that journey and understanding that healing is something that is consistent. I haven't, but you have family members going through it now. Awesome. So I'm going to share some things with you guys about depression. So one of the things that I want to share first and foremost before we get started is depression from a holistic standpoint is us being disconnected spiritually, right? We're disconnected from our higher self. We're disconnected from our higher calling. We're disconnected from God in a sense of our spirit is burdened by a lot of things. And I'm going to talk to you guys about what those things are. I believe, like Les Brown says, that too many of us are living our fears instead of our dreams. I believe that the graveyard is the richest place on the planet because so many people allow fear to stop them from going forward into the life that God has for them. And one of the reasons why is because they don't have a lot of the confidence that they need or the confidence that's necessary. So I want to talk to you guys today about 5 spiritual keys to overcoming depression. I think that this is going to be something that you could take with you, that you could share with other people. The first one is fear, right? Fear is something that stops a lot of people from going forward into the calling that God has on their life. And God already tells us, hey, Deltone, it's good to see you. God tells us that he didn't give us a spirit of fear. He gave us a spirit of power and of a sound mind. So when we begin to approach our life from a spiritual place and we look at our life through a spiritual lens, we can kind of understand the different energies that we experience and the different things that happen to us. And if we can put on a more spiritual lens, then what we'll begin to understand is that, you know, this is all a part of our evolution on this planet. But fear stops most people. And I believe that fear is deeply rooted in a lack of self-knowledge, a lack of knowing who you are, a lack of knowing what you're capable of, a lack of understanding your true greatness, your true nature, about how amazing and beautiful and strong and capable you really are. I really believe that, and y'all let me know if you guys believe this too. Hey, LaShandra. This live is really dedicated towards you and towards a few others. Okay. Hey, Brittany, it's good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. I believe that, a lot of us are living in, you know, in this space of fear, and fear a lot of time masquerades itself as depression, right? There's so many things that God is calling out within us, calling us out to get out here and live our purpose. But then we have the enemy coming from a spiritual standpoint to get into our mind, get into our thought process, and immediately pulls us back. One of the things that I know is that if our vision isn't strong enough, if our vision for our future isn't strong enough, our past thinking patterns will then begin to pull us back to the past. And our thinking and our feeling will then hold us into a state of previous bondage. Okay, so we'll begin to stay stuck in a certain energy frequency. So fear is rooted in lack of knowledge. Hey, beautiful. Fear is rooted in lack of knowledge of self. Not knowing who you are, not knowing what you're capable of, not knowing the greatness that is just waiting to be unleashed within you, that's lying dormant within yourself. So lack of self-knowledge. That's one of the things that God tells us a lot in scripture, right? It's all about my people perish for lack of knowledge. So we have to begin to study ourselves and study the word and study and show ourselves approved. So knowing who you are, when you know who you are and you know what you're capable of. Good morning, Corey. When you know who you are and you know what you're capable of, then guess what? Fear has to vanish, because fear is literally operating in a false sense of identity, a false sense of self. Because what did I just say? And what did God say? God said, I didn't give you a spirit of fear. So if he didn't give us a spirit of fear, we are not operating in the true essence of who we really are. We are operating as an imposter. We are operating out of that true identity. And what happens when we operate out of this identity, what happens when we operate in an imposter frequency, is that nothing in our life is lining up the way it's supposed to. So we'll get stuck. We think we're making progress, but then we go 10 feet backwards. and things will not begin to unfold according to the way they're supposed to. So learning how to understand just how great you are and really own that and operate from that. The second thing is confidence. I believe that a lot of times, when we're dealing with a lot of emotional issues, a lot of emotional baggage, hey, it's good to see you in the office. One of the things is we have to really begin to really assess where we are right now in our life across the board. Okay. But a lot of times people are struggling with so much confidence, so much lack of confidence and lack of self-worth. And because you struggle with lack of confidence and lack of self-worth, that leads to thinking habits, words, behaviors, and beliefs that lead to a depression, that lead you into that emotional frequency of oh, woe is me, or my life isn't, the way I want it to be, or things are falling apart, or whatever that is for you. But the thinking of not being good enough, you're thinking that you don't have the worth or what it takes, is going to cause you to have certain thoughts, and those thoughts are going to reproduce themselves, not just in our minds, but they're going to reproduce themselves in our life, and they're going to begin to show up. That's going to keep us in a state of depression. So learning to believe in yourself, learning to love yourself, learning to have full faith in who you really are, and operate in that energy of, you know what? I come from God, right? Like, I come from God. And so because I come from God, I know that I have the ability to carry out whatever the unique mission was that I was sent here to carry out. The third key to overcoming depression from a spiritual standpoint is alignment with your purpose. I cannot stress this enough. Learning how to align with your purpose, making that the sole chief aim of your existence, will help you overcome depression. Okay. Understanding that you were sent here to do something. You were sent here to carry out a special task. And what happens a lot of times when we are depressed, and I think I mentioned this earlier, is that our spirits are in bondage. They're in bondage because they are not expressing the full greatness of who they are and what they were really sent here to do. And as a result of that, we can experience all types of things on a different level. So, we'll experience anxiety, we'll experience depression, we'll experience a whole lot of stress, we'll experience a lot of those manifestations, right? Because as humans, we're multidimensional. We're mind, body, spirit, and emotion. So finding your purpose is essential. Finding your purpose is key and is crucial, because when you are aligned with your purpose, hey, Moga Jaredami, I hope I didn't mispronounce your name. I'm sorry if I did. Aligning with your purpose is critical. Like, your purpose is what will help pull you forward, because you understand that you're here for a reason. I'm going to answer your question in just a second. The last thing that I want to touch on is your past. A lot of times when we replay experiences from our past and we think about the past, that causes us to enter into depression, because we're sitting there trying to figure out, like, what happened, why did it happen, what I could have done differently. We beat ourselves up over things. We hold on to all of these things that occurred already, and we're living in the past. And as a result of that, we're getting depressed. You get depressed because you're constantly focusing on what has already occurred. So if you want to begin to overcome depression from a spiritual standpoint, the first thing is you got to become fearless. You got to become fearless, because God did not give you a spirit of fear. Fear is such a low vibrational frequency that it can only draw more of low vibration to you. So depression, anxiety, stress, feeling low, just not feeling good, because it's that energy of that. So you got to get rid of the fear. Whatever you're afraid of, you got to face it head on and tackle it. The second thing is you got to boost your confidence. You got to know that you're confident. You got to improve your confidence. You got to improve the way you see yourself. The third thing is attaching and aligning to your purpose, being fully committed to that, being fully committed to what you were sent here to do, and really asking yourself, do you even believe you have a purpose? And if so, are you living it? Because a lot of times people who are depressed are not living their purpose. Lastly, your past, being able to address the issues from your past and really look at them, make peace with them, forgive, let go, and begin to move forward. All right. So let me talk about for a few minutes how does low confidence show up? Because I know a lot of people are dealing with this low confidence when it comes to just being in life, living our lives. So excuses. So you make excuses about a lot of different things. The timing isn't right, or you don't have the necessary information, or blase. So you make a lot of excuses. This is one way that low confidence masquerades itself. Procrastination. How many of you guys have struggled with procrastination? I know it's something that I have struggled with previously, just putting things off. And a lot of times you put things off because you don't think you're ready, or you don't think you're good enough, or you don't think, you don't have what it takes. So procrastination is one of the main signs of low confidence and low self-worth. And procrastination is going to lead to more depression, because you end up looking at your life and you're like, wait a second, 5 years have gone by and I'm still like right here, like I haven't made any progress. Self-sabotage. So sabotaging yourself in various ways, that also is a sign of low self-worth and low confidence. Not taking responsibility for your life. So you blame outside forces, you blame outside people, and you really have to begin to look at yourself and realize that your outward condition is ultimately a manifestation of your own mind. It's a manifestation of your own beliefs. It's a manifestation of how you really feel about you. And when you begin to go to work hard on yourself, really cleaning out, and I'm going to give you guys some steps on how to do that, really cleaning out what's going on within you, then you'll begin to start making progress. And the other thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is not letting the mistakes of your past rob you from your purpose and your future. A lot of times we get so caught up in our past mistakes that we don't even pursue the path that God has for us. All right. So what do you do if they won't speak to anyone or seek help? One of the things that I recommend if they won't speak to anyone or seek help is you can always write a letter, or you can always go to them, write a letter physically to them, or you can always go to them in the spiritual realm. What I mean by that is learning how to use your own imagination, your own mind, because we're all connected, right? You guys are connected to me. I'm connected to you. We're all connected all around the world because we're connected by spirit. So one of the things that you can begin to do in your own mind is not only pray for them, but visualize them getting help, visualize them being healed, visualize yourself sending love and healing vibrations to the people that you care about, because that also is very powerful. So that would be something that I would recommend. But also in the physical, I would write a letter personally to them, go sit down and talk to them. And then if that still isn't working, everybody that knows this person should be collectively sending energy in the spiritual realm. So these are some of the steps I want to give you guys. Hey, Faraz. Hey, Jorinda. These are some of the steps that I want to give you guys for anybody that's struggling with depression. The very first thing, hey, it's good to see you. The very first thing I want you guys to do is I want you to acknowledge where you are right now. And when I say acknowledge where you are, if you have paper, write this down. Acknowledge where you are in your mind in terms of what are your thoughts like? Like if you can get a piece of paper, hey, the Wives Inc., you get a piece of paper and you begin to write down, how healthy are my thoughts? What are the nature of my thoughts? What are the nature of my thinking habits? Okay. And then begin to assess and acknowledge where you are right now with your confidence. How confident are you? If you can rate that on a scale from 0, if you can rate that on a scale from 0 to 10, how would you rate your confidence? Acknowledge where you are when it comes to fear. What are you really afraid of? Are you holding yourself back in certain areas of your life because of fear? All right. Begin to acknowledge that. Procrastination. What are you procrastinating on? What is the depression maybe a manifestation of, right? It could be your soul is not fulfilling its purpose. And then acknowledge where you are in terms of your relationships, your relationship with God, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with other people. If you look at the pattern of those relationships, and particularly intimate relationships, you begin to look at those patterns, see what you uncover about, the pattern. Like what do they all have in common? What did all of these relationships symbolize to you? In addition to that, assess where you are right now when it comes to you forgiving people from your past and even forgiving yourself. A lot of times we because we're not forgiving of other people and we're not forgiving of ourselves, that causes us to be depressed as a physical manifestation because our heart is burdened by that. Okay. And then assess like your past trauma. Like, what have you not gotten over? Who have you not let go of? What are you bitter about? What are you angry about? What are you resentful about? Any of those things, all of those things lead to depression. All right. So look at your past. If there's childhood trauma, if there's relationship trauma, whatever that is, you have to begin to address that, because that stuff manifests later on in life as anxiety and depression and all of those things. And then acknowledge where you are in your business, with your career goals, with your dreams, and really begin to see, am I really where I want to be? Because a lot of times we can get depressed because we're not where we want to be in life. We look around and we think everybody else is further ahead, or, everybody else is doing this or that. And then we compare ourselves to those people, and then we start getting depressed. So acknowledge where you are, accept where you are. And then the second thing you have to ask yourself on your sheet of paper is, why? Why am I here? Why am I depressed? Why am I unhappy? Why am I unfulfilled? Why am I procrastinating? Why are my relationships not as healthy as I want them to be? Why have I not forgiven myself or others? Why am I still holding on to the past? Ask yourself, why are you where you are? Because once you know what the issue is and you know why you are where you are, then you can begin to form a plan to help yourself get out of that situation, and begin to form a plan. Hey, Mary, begin to form a plan to help yourself move forward into what it is that you want. The other thing we have to begin to do is look at our habits. A lot of times we get into depression because of our own habits, our thinking habits. If you really think, like scientists estimate we have like 80,000 thoughts a day, 90,000 thoughts a day. And when they estimate that we have 90,000 thoughts, 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts, right? So if 90% of those thoughts are the same, and most of those thoughts are negative, and we know our thinking is what creates our reality, then depression is a result a lot of times of what you're thinking about. So if you want to begin to change how you feel, and this is just from a holistic standpoint, I'm not saying don't get help or seek help, but a lot of times we also empower ourselves and begin to take our healing in our own hands as we seek help from other people, right? So you want to begin to assess your thinking. Start interrupting those thoughts. Every time you get a negative thought, every time you get a self-defeating thought, every time a thought comes to you from the enemy or even from within yourself that's habitual, interrupt it. Say out loud, no. Say, no, I'm not thinking that. Now, don't do this if you're around other people, because they're going to think you're crazy. Okay. But if you're by yourself and you're at home and you're really recognizing some of that behavior, say, no, I'm not thinking that instead. And then flip it and replace it with something that is positive and more empowering. Anytime, you got to interrupt these thoughts because they flow in a habitual cycle. So you got to interrupt them yourself. Nobody can do that for you. The other thing is our habits of doing, right? Like, what are our daily habits? Sometimes we get depressed and we look at our life and we look at what's going on, but really you have to look at the results you're getting are a reflection of your thinking, your doing, your being, your speaking, right? And your feeling. So if you're feeling bad, if you're thinking bad, if you're eating bad, if you're speaking bad, and you're not doing the actual work, like that's going to get you the result, then that's going to lead to depression. So that means we got to do the opposite. We got to think right, eat right, speak right, feel right, and be right. And what I mean by be right is we got to feel good. We got to actually be in the energy of what it is we want to be in the energy of feeling good, of high vibration, right? And beginning to expand our self-concept. A lot of times we hold ourselves back from all of the great things that God has for us because our own self-concept is limited. Like we can't see beyond our current situation. We can't even think beyond our past. And so we have this self-concept that we develop of, I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, nothing ever works for me, something's wrong with me. We have to begin to change that inner dialect so we can begin to move beyond this same level that we've been at. And then the last thing I want to share with you guys is, where do you want to be, right? You want to pull yourself out of depression. You got to begin to see yourself. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be in your health? Where do you want to be in your business? Where do you want to be in terms of a relationship with yourself and with others, like an intimate relationship? What type of impact and contribution do you want to make in the world? A lot of times we're depressed because we're not forward. We're not forward thinking. We're thinking stuck. Like our thinking is stuck. So we got to get it unstuck. And the way to do that is to begin to introduce new thoughts, new ideas, new beliefs, reading different books, going beyond affirmations. Affirmations are good, but really you need to be believing what you're saying. So continuously repetitive information to create a new you, create a whole new you, a new mind. That's what, they talk about in the scripture. You got to renew your mind. And by renewing your mind, that means really changing the way you think, changing your concept of yourself, changing your behaviors to line up with that person that you so desire to be. A lot of times we have a desire to be successful, but we're not thinking the way successful people think. We're not eating the way they eat. We're not doing the things that they're doing. And so we end up just hoping for that. And then we never make the progress because we have to align our everything, our thinking, feeling, and actions. So I recommend a lot of books, but the very first book that I would recommend if you want to begin to adopt this is As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. If you haven't read it, it's a classic book. It lays out everything when it comes to the power of the mind. It's only like 20 pages long. You can read it in an hour, but it is literally one of the most impactful books in history. And it's by James Allen, As a Man Thinketh. I would start with that. And then the other thing I want to challenge myself and all of you guys on is, what new habits do you need to integrate into your life? Like, what are some of the things that you could do differently in order to get the results that you want? What are some of the things that you can do in order to get the results that you want? And before you can know that, you got to know what results do you actually want? Where is it that you want to be? Because this is mid-March now. So we're already a quarter into the new year. So if you're not where you want to be now, begin to think about what are some of the things to get those results that I really, really want to get. And then create a consistent routine, meaning Monday at this time, I'm doing this. Tuesday at this time, I'm doing this. This is the time I'm working out. This is the time I'm taking my supplements. This is the time I'm meditating and praying. This is the time I'm focusing on developing my business. This is the time I'm allocating to spend with my family. This is the time I'm allocating to spend by myself. This is the time I'm allocating to network, or meet other people. This is the time I'm allocating to grow my personal knowledge. So you got to get a consistent routine and stay consistent with it. Because what do? Like we start feeling like, oh, I don't feel like working out. I don't feel like this. Or somebody brings a pie home and you're like, oh, I'm going to eat the pie, even though I said I'm not eating pie or eating sweets. So we got to begin to discipline ourselves, which takes work. It's practice. And don't beat yourself up. Like, we're all here learning and growing. It's just about acknowledging where you are, accepting where you are, and beginning to expand your vision of yourself and what you really want to happen in your life. What do you really, really want? What do you really, really want? And then allow that vision to help pull you forward. If we don't allow that vision to pull us forward, then our previous thinking will hold us back. So you got to begin to forward think. How does the person you want to be think? Are they fearless? Are they confident? Are they bold? Are they consistent? Are they disciplined? How do they eat? How do they walk? How do they talk? Then we have to begin to embody that. And that's how we make the change. So LaShondra said, hey, beautiful, that's prescription is for me. Consistency. Yes, consistency is key, because when you think about it, when you set a goal, hey, Cyber Queen, and you stay consistent with it, you feel so accomplished. You feel so good. And because you're feeling good, you're feeling at a higher frequency, depression is not going to be something that probably sets in on you. But as you transgress backwards and you go back into your old thinking and your whole old habits and your old behaviors, then that means you're being consistent with that pattern. So breaking the cycle. And LaShondra, another good book, and everybody, hey, Faithful, I would highly recommend is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza is amazing because he talks a lot about how everything is habitual. So if we want to recreate a new reality, then we have to begin to change what we're doing. We can't keep thinking the same thoughts, eating the same foods, doing the same things, having the same routine, hanging out with the same people, and expect to live the life of our dreams. We can't do that. We have to do the opposite. So and the last thing I'm going to share before I hop off, because my son's about to wake up and I need to go work out. The last thing is love yourself. Love yourself. Love yourself. Love all your flaws. Love your past. Love your mistakes. Love everything about you. And if you go into the mirror and look yourself in the eye and you say, I love you, I really, really love you, and it's hard for you to look at yourself in the eye, or you really don't feel like you believe that, then you know a lot of the work has to be done on you in learning how to love yourself and become your own best friend, because nobody can do that for you. And learning to love yourself and really, really love yourself unconditionally, that will also help you when it comes to issues of an emotional and spiritual nature, because you'll recognize that you and God are one. God is within you, right? Like he's within all of us. So if you don't love yourself, you have to ask yourself, do you really love God? Because he's in us. And how can we not love God? Like, so we got to like let go of the imposter syndrome. We got to let go of the fear. We got to let go of the doubt. We got to let go of all of these things that are not even a part of who we really are. Shed those old skins and really begin to emerge into the spiritual greatness that you represent, because you represent God, and it's time to come out of your shell and do the necessary work to be here on this planet and share your light with the world, because that's what we all need more of. Okay. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this live. I hope that it was beneficial for you. Today, I want you guys to remember what your homework is, or the things that I've asked you to do. Acknowledge where you are, get a piece of paper out, acknowledge where you are, write everything out in every aspect of your life. Where are you? Then make another column and say, why am I here? Why am I getting these results that I'm getting? What is it that I'm doing that's making me get these results? And then the next thing I want you to do is ask yourself, where do I want to be? Where do I want to be? How can I get forward in my life to get, to expand my vision? So where do I want to be? And then what steps do I have to take to get there? And then you'll see that the list, there'll be the exact opposite. Like, I'm doing this and that's why I'm getting this result. But if I do the opposite, then I'll get this result. Okay. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. You're so welcome, LaShondra, beautiful. And I'm going to keep this live up. So share it if you think it's beneficial. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Again, I'm Aisha Tatum, Holistic Life Coach. If you're interested in, receiving more content like this, you can always join my free Facebook group, which is the Fearless Woman Society. Come hang out with me. I'll be doing more lives in there to help empower myself and everyone else to live their dreams. Sending love and light. Have a great day. God bless.